Okay, I'm going to go ahead and get us started. And thank you for joining. We may still have a few people pop into the webinar, but we're so glad that you're here and took this time. So I'm going to introduce myself. There we go. My name is Jennifer Keller. I am the Associate Director for Management and Leadership Programs here at UC Davis Continuing Professional Education. And I've been with UC Davis about 5 years in this role, managing these great programs. I'm really passionate about developing leaders, and so I'm excited to share that with you. My colleague Bridget, some of you may have already interacted with her. She's our program specialist. She's really on the front line of managing these programs. Unfortunately, she couldn't be here today as she is busy managing another leadership program with one of our clients, which is something else we do. So she is not able to be here today, but she will be one of your primary contacts if you have any questions going forward. And throughout the webinar, if you do have a question, please use the Q&A box in the Zoom features, and I will check those periodically. There's a couple checkpoints where I will look at the Q&A box and we will answer those questions. So please go ahead and use that live, and I will review that at a few different points throughout the webinar. I am so excited, while Bridget can't be here, I am so excited that we have one of our alumni, Heather Dabber. Welcome, Heather.
Thank you for having me.
We are so excited that Heather is here with us today. She's one of our alumni from our Supervisory Skills series. She's a financial analyst too with UC Davis, and you are going to hear more from her in a bit. So I'll pause and she'll introduce herself, but we are really excited for her to share her experience as an alumni of these programs. So let's get started. Here is our agenda. Well, we can already check off the welcome, so that's good. We're gonna dive into talking about the Supervisory Skills series. Then we're gonna talk about Management Development Program, and we're gonna give you a little bit more detail on the assessment, the DISC assessment. And then I'm gonna briefly talk about a summer class that we have, Leading with Emotional Intelligence and Coaching. We'll hear from Heather after we talk about the Supervisory Skills series, and then we'll have time for questions after each program as well as at the end. As a thank you for attending this session, we have a $100 coupon for you at the end. Stick with us, we'll tell you how to get that. That's $100 off any of the programs that we offer. So that's a great discount that will be available to you. So we're going to start with our first poll question. So if you want to answer this poll, how many years of supervision or management experience do you have? 0, you want to step into supervision. 1 to 3, 4 to 6, 7 to 9, or over 10. Looks like we're kind of split between, wow, we're split between all of them. Oh my goodness, okay. So we have a little bit of everybody, except for the over 10 years. So far, nobody's replied with over 10 years, but it looks like we're split between the 1 to stepping in, 1 to 3, 4 to 6, and 7 to 9. That's great. So I think at the end of this session, you'll have a better idea of which program might fit for you based on that experience level. All right, let's continue on. So these are the 4 main programs that we offer. We're not going to talk about the Executive Leadership Program today because the application deadline is actually today for that program, and we have an information session solely dedicated to that program. But I did just want to mention it. That is our program. It's kind of one of our flagship programs here at Continuing in Professional Education for C-suite level executives in organizations. We offer it twice a year. You see the dates here for the spring, and then we offer it in the fall as well, and we'll be sharing information on that. You can go to our website and view the details for that program, as well as listen to the prior recorded information session if you're interested. But today's focus is mainly going to be on the Supervisory Skills series, as we mentioned. It's really exciting. We have both morning and afternoon sections, so we have a lot of flexibility and options for you, and we'll talk about that when we get to those details. You can see the dates there. We're going to review those in detail. And then we have our Management Development Program, which is three weeks, 9 to 4. We'll talk about, those are full day sessions. And then we're going to talk briefly about the Leading with Emotional Intelligence and Coaching course in August. That's one of our deep dive specialized skills programs. So that is where we're headed. So let's get into Supervisory Skills Series. So Supervisory Skills Series 2, the first question that comes up for a lot of people is, do I have to take Series 1 first? And the answer is no. These are 5 independent half-day topics that can be taken in any order. So you can take Series 2, and then we offer Series 1 in the fall, and I will review those topics in a little bit. And you can take them, you can take Series 2 first. So don't worry if you haven't taken Series 1 yet, it's not a problem. So the way Supervisory Skills Series works is you can see there's 5 half-day topics. I'm going to go over each of these in a little more detail so you know what's in the content. You can take these as a whole program, as a cohort, and take all 5, which is what Heather did. So she'll talk a little bit about the few classes that stood out for her. Or you can take those as 5, or as an independent half-day topic. So if you're looking at this and you're saying, gosh, I really just want some more on teams. So I'm going to kind of take developing your team, or I'm really struggling working with different generations. So that's one I'm going to take. So you can take those independently. You don't have to take all 5. So let's talk about each of the courses. The first one is Juggling Multiple Priorities with Lisa Montanaro. You can see the kind of key points there. Lisa is phenomenal. She is a keynote speaker, author, coach. She really specializes in productivity, balance, and stress. So she is the perfect person to teach this course. She is the author of a book called The Ultimate Life Organizer and Decide to Be Organized. So she has really a lot of great tools and strategies. And so this is a great course. So we kick off the series with this course with Lisa. Then we delve into Developing Your Team with Diane Davidson. Again, you can see the topics here. In this course, there is an assessment on your learning style. And so what she really does is uses that assessment to kind of determine what's your learning style, what is your preference versus what might be the preference of your team that you're working with, and how can you learn what their preference is, and then how do you work with them when you have different styles. So she really uses that assessment as the kind of foundation for discussing how to better work with a team. Diane is actually a professional singer. She travels the world singing. So she's a performer globally, and she also has a tremendous amount of experience in leadership training and coaching. She has her own consulting firm. She's worked with multinational and regional companies. So she has just a tremendous amount of experience. We're excited that she's part of our lineup. And then we move to Solutions-Focused Thinking with Leslie Bosserman. This is really a great course when you're kind of stuck maybe in how to solve a problem, or how maybe you're kind of stuck with the same problem over and over. And so she has a model where she kind of works through this appreciative inquiry and how can you develop new solutions and then be more solutions focused. So it's really a lot about positivity and how can you take a more positive viewpoint when you're stuck. Leslie owns her own practice called Lead with Intention, where she has coaching, organizational training, facilitation. She's done a lot of work with us on emerging leaders, and just a real leader in the community, in the Sacramento community as well. So we're excited about her also. And then there's the iGenNU. That's the next generation. You'll see that's me. I will be teaching that course, Leading a Cross-Generational Workforce. So we're going to talk about in this course the characteristics of different generations. And then we're really going to talk about how can you increase your empathy of different generations. Sometimes we go straight to, they're so different. I don't understand them. Why do they do this? And how can we really increase empathy, and then talk about various approaches to leading the different generations and respecting what is important. So those are kind of the key values of that. And I will just give you a little bit of background. I have my master's in leadership, and my thesis was actually on leading Generation Z, which is also referred to as iGen. And how do we, because they are coming to the workplace. I know where many of us are still kind of managing how to respond to millennials. And the Generation Z is just now starting to graduate college, so they will be in the workplace very soon, if not already. So that was what my thesis was on. I'm also a certified UC Davis certified coach, and have been working, as I said, in the management and leadership programs. So I'm looking forward to teaching this class and hope to see you in class. And then finally, we end the supervisory skills series with coaching employees with Dawn Carner. And this is just a great introduction to how do you take a coach approach when you are leading employees. And then she really delves into, when do you coach? When do you not coach? When is it a performance issue and you need to have a performance conversation versus when is it you're coaching to really guide and lead and help employees? Dawn is a PCC certified coach, professional coach and consultant. She's worked with all different levels of organizations and executives and has just a tremendous amount of experience in coaching. So she's a perfect instructor for this course. So that is the program. Now we're going to talk with Heather. And so I'm so happy that she is here. And then after we talk with Heather, we'll review any questions that may have come up. So Heather, do you want to just introduce yourself and talk a little bit about what you do?
Sure. I work here at UC Davis on campus. I'm a finance analyst. So I review budgets and contracts and submit invoices. So I kind of live in the whole of finance world.
The whole finance world, which is very important at the university.
Yes.
So we're happy that you do that.
Yeah.
All right. Well, we have a few prepared questions for Heather. And then if you have any questions for Heather, please feel free to enter those in the Q&A box. So our first question, Heather, reflecting back on the program, what still stands out to you?
When you sent me this, I was thinking about it, and I talked with my team, and we said the phenomenal teachers, really. It was about every single one we came back to the office and said, wow, that was fantastic. And every week is someone different. So every week had a different take home. And they're just experts in the field, experts in what they teach. And there was a really good balance between hands-on and lecture. So not only did the people lecture, but they also said, okay, this is how you're going to apply it when you go back to the office. And we found that really valuable.
Yeah.
And there were topics that I really hadn't thought of as supervisory, because I'm not a supervisor, and I'm not sure if I ever will be. But the topics like the multi-generational, because our office actually has 4 generations, that really hit home for us. And it really helped us appreciate one another. The other 2 for us were the communication style and the team development, because we were a brand new team. We were fortunate enough to go as a team. I mean, you definitely don't have to, but for us, it was nice because we were kind of able to take that step back to the office and really work on it and apply it. So it's not just one person doing it. It's like, okay, we're going to try this and see if it works to help us.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, I love that. I love a couple things that Heather said that stood out to me that we really do value is we have different instructors who are subject matter experts in that area. So like Dawn Carter, I mentioned, is subject matter expert in coaching. Diane Davidson in team building. And so I love that, and that we have different perspectives. So that's great.
Every week it was something new, and it was great. Yeah.
That's awesome. And then also we do really, I love that you brought up that the balance between lecture and activities, because that's really important. Nobody wants to sit in a class for 4 hours and just be talked to.
That's exactly right. We were excited about that because as finance people, we're kind of shy anyway. And so it kind of got us out of our comfort zone and really talked about issues we were kind of afraid to talk about at work in terms of how do we do this? I don't know. I'm too afraid to ask. In that safety of that group, we were able to practice without any sort of judgment. Of course, this judgment-free zone, and kind of work stuff out with the help of a coach. I mean, how often can you do that?
Yeah. Oh, that's fantastic. Great. Okay. Our second question for Heather is, how did you use the content to help you in your job?
Well, the online assessments that were awesome, and same with the in-class ones. The learning style, communication style, you kind of already go in knowing, oh, I kind of know that I'm kind of quiet, I'm kind of this, I'm kind of that. But it focuses more on not labeling you, but finding out your strengths and, okay, so maybe you need to work on this, but kind of helps you guide to be the best self you can be. And also taking that back to the office, we were able to kind of say, hey, this is how I learn. Maybe that's why we're not connecting, is because we're looking at it in different ways. So we were able to kind of take it back and say, hey, you're looking at it from a different point of view. This is how I see it. It gave us new insight to how people think and process. And that was we were able to kind of restructure not only our unit as a whole. We had people in doing tasks that they really found boring. It's like, okay, no, then you can do the stuff that you find exciting. Let's rework this. There's no reason why we can't. This is something that you're passionate about and you're focused on, then you should be doing that. It also helped make our meetings more effective. We found that the structure of our meeting really was based upon someone who was there 3 or 4 years ago. It doesn't work for us anymore. We found what worked best for us. We just determined like, okay, we don't need long, sprawling 2-hour meetings. We need brief, quiet, quick meetings that are focused. And taking that back really has helped us become a better team. So
that is so great. Yes, that is the kind of thing we love to hear, of course. But I do think there's such value in learning each other's styles, even though you kind of know it. It's really helpful.
We were afraid that we didn't want to be labeled. But when you don't feel that way, because what you do is you figure out, oh, I kind of already knew that. Yeah. But this is what's good about it. Yeah. And this is what is the challenge that you can work on, which is nice.
And then being able to have that flexibility, when possible, to reassign tasks to work to each other's strengths and styles. And I think that's great whenever it's possible.
That's true.
Awesome. Okay. Our last question is, what are 2 to 3 things you learned about yourself after taking the program?
I definitely have a greater appreciation for my colleagues and their perspective on things. Like I said, we have 4 generations, which is unusual, but working at a university, you're going to have that. And everyone has their kind of point of view and their way of doing things, and things they're really good at and things that are very important to them. To me, that being able, to be able to kind of build that from the ground up and say, okay, we're all brand new. We need to learn about this and use it to our advantage. I learned a lot about my skills and things I need to work on in terms of like, okay, that's not necessarily a fault. I can use that as an advantage, and that things I need to be aware of in terms of communicating. But most of all, I really feel like, I may never be a supervisor, but everyone, anywhere, in any job, you're going to be a leader in some capacity. So these skills, even if you're never going to be a supervisor, you're going to use them even in just your life in terms of being able to communicate with someone. That's really my takeaway, was that like, okay, these are skills that not only just for the work, but just for being able to be any type of leader in any sort of position. Yeah, that is great, because that aligns with what I believe, in that leadership applies to everybody. It does. And it doesn't matter if you have it in your title. And then there's many of you on the call said that you're looking to step into supervision, which is great, because this program is still for you. I don't think it's in a title. It's in how we interact with each other. So I love that, Heather. Thank you. Heather, that was just fantastic. So I'm going to open the Q&A box and see if there's any questions for Heather. There is a question that came up about what are the years for Gen Z? Is this the early millennials? Just curious. Actually, no, it's not and it may not even be in last year's content, the Gen Z. Oh, it is. Good. Okay, perfect. Heather brought her binder. I love it. And there's some differentiation on this as well that we'll talk about. But the Gen Z is separate from millennials. So it's not early millennials, it's the after. So they're born approximately after 2000, the year 2000, up until there's still debate on the end date right now, to be honest. Really the defining moment is they talk about 9/11, September 11th. If for Generation Z, it's always been a part of their life. They have it's not history, it is history. It's always been an event, whereas millennials had a before and after for some of them, many of them. So that's a quick answer. Michelle, come to the class to find out more. All right, anyone else have any questions for Heather or the supervisory skills series? I'm going to put up a slide here with a little bit of details. Okay, I'll go over the details. I'll pause again for questions in a second.
So here you can see the session 2 that we just talked about, and then I mentioned the session 1 in the fall is September and October. And you can see those topics: principles of supervision and management, building a motivated workplace, delegating for results, working through conflict, and communication skills. So that will be coming in the fall, starting in September. We have the dates already for that. You can see those there. And then we're not going to talk about that in this session, though. We have one in the summer to talk more detail. And then you can see the cost details. Each half day is $295, or it's $1325 for the entire program, which saves you $150. You can get a 10% discount for the program for groups of 3 or more by enrolling by March 20th. That's our early enrollment deadline. You also can get $100 off, but the 10% is really your best bet. So enroll by March 20th and you're saving more than the $100. It's $132.50. So that is the scoop on that. Let's move forward to any other questions that come up. Please go ahead and use the Q&A box. As I mentioned, a question we frequently get is, do I have to take Series 1 first? No, you do not. You can take Series 2 without having to take Series 1. Just going to pause if there's any other questions that are coming through. One question that just came through: where are the classes located? And the classes are located in our teaching facility in Midtown Sacramento. Although we are moving facilities to a new facility in downtown Sacramento, right near Tower Bridge and Old Sac, One Capitol Mall. Although I believe the move, the date hasn't been completely determined, but I think it's going to be May. So this series, the supervisory series, will likely be held at the Midtown facility in Sacramento, across from Sutter Hospital. Another question that just came in: are there any prerequisites? No, there are not. You can just show up and who you are and be there. So no prerequisites. All right, I don't see any other questions at this time. We will pause again at the end. And so if any questions for Heather come up, she's going to hang with us till the end, or any questions on management development or supervisory skills. But now we're going to transition to talking about management development program. So management development program is structured a little bit differently in that this is taken as a cohort-based program. You need to take all 3 courses, whereas supervisory skills, you can take individual classes. This one you need to take as a whole program. It builds upon each other. So it's a cohort program, 3 consecutive Wednesdays, starting May 8th. So May 8th, 15th, and 22nd. And these are the classes, and we're going to talk about each of them now. The first one we kick off with is the manager's role with Gabe Lewell. And this class really provides kind of a foundation of what is the role of a manager in today's organization. And he really focuses on, some of you may be familiar with this, some of you not, called key performance indicators. And that's really talking about, what are you measuring to be successful? What is your organization measuring? What is your team measuring? And to be honest, some organizations don't have these yet. They don't have them in place. And so he's going to what he does a great job of is talking about, well, how can you put these in place? Maybe your organization doesn't have them, but how can you with your team really kind of understand what you're measuring success by? And then he spends a good portion talking about what is the manager's role in coaching. Gabe is a consultant. He has his master's in training design, and he's working on his PhD right now in organizational development. And he is a senior leader at SMUD and has been working there for many years in HR and training. So he has a lot to offer. The second class is taught by Kim Silvers, and this is where we're going to talk a little bit about the DISC in a minute. Communicating for results. So Kim's class really focuses on communication. She spends a huge portion talking about feedback, because I think we all know, can agree that that is not easy for people, for managers, for leaders in general, both positive and constructive. Even positive feedback, I think we say things like, good job. That's not really effective feedback. And so she talks about a great model that people love in following of how to give effective feedback. Then she spends, and part of the communication portion is the DISC. You're going to learn your DISC style, which I'm going to talk about. And then finally, she gets into kind of performance issues and how do you mitigate circumstances to lower legal risks when you have poor performers. Kim is an HR expert. She owns her own HR consulting business, and she works with Fortune 500 and 1,000 companies. And she's done this for almost 20 years of HR consulting. So she is truly an expert in performance. And we are just thrilled that she is a part of this lineup because she's so busy, she doesn't teach very often. So we're really happy to have her. So let's talk about the DISC. What is the DISC? So as I describe the DISC, I want you to think about what category you might fall into. So there's D, I, S, and C. So think about, as we go through this, what category you most align with. All right, so let's start with D. So D stands for dominance. So this person really is all about results. Very direct. They're kind of on the outgoing task-oriented is what we would call them. Outgoing task-oriented. They're focused on getting things done. They want challenges, get straight to the point. They're making it happen, move, 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 get to the bottom line. They're all about results, 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 results. Get it done. So that is dominance. You may fall if you fall high on that. The second one, I, stands for influence. This person is more outgoing, people-oriented. So they love to interact and socialize. They want to persuade people. They're about relationships. They love collaboration. They're positive. They're enthusiastic. They are all about working with others and love working with people. So they're kind of the outgoing, people-oriented. So the dominance is more the outgoing, task-oriented. And then now we've got the outgoing, people-oriented. Then the S is steadiness. This person is more what we would call the reserved, people-oriented. So this person is all about cooperation, dependability, but they're more calm. They don't want to be rushed. They're probably very detail-oriented, humble. They want to work together, but they're not as out there with it as maybe the I. They're really sincere, so more of the reserved, people-oriented person versus the outgoing, people-oriented person of the influence. And then finally is the C, and this is the more reserved, task-oriented person. So the D was the outgoing, task-oriented. This is the more reserved, task-oriented. So they are really about quality, accuracy, expertise. They want the facts. They don't like to be wrong. They will see every detail and make sure it's accurate and correct. And so they're the more reserved, task-oriented. So that's kind of just a high-level overview. Now we're going to do something kind of fun to help you determine who is on this. So if you're on this webinar and you are a D, this is what you're thinking right now. Give me the facts. Come on. I want the cost. Heather's chuckling. Maybe she's a D. No. Not a D, but she knows the Ds. So give me the facts. Tell me how much it costs. Tell me the time. I got a meeting right after this, so this better end on time. She better get through this. Go, go, go. That's you if you're on it here. If you're an I, you're wanting to know how much interaction you're going to have with the other organizations. You actually really wish this would have been in person, this information session, and you may not even be on today because it's a webinar. That's not your style. You want to know, how am I going to network? Who am I going to work with? Who am I going to meet in this program? That's you if you're an I. So we may not even have I's on here today. If you're an S, you are saying, let me know how much I'm going to learn and how this will impact my life. And you love like the Q&A with Heather, and you wanted to know, like, you probably want to call Heather afterwards and talk to her. So you're more reserved. You want that one-on-one, but you want to know like the deep impact in your life. So if you're an S, that's probably you. And then the C, you wanted information on the quality of the programs you're going to receive. And you probably noticed a typo somewhere on the presentation, and you're hoping that's not representative of the quality of the program. So that's just kind of a fun way. I'm going to do a poll. What do you think, Heather? Which style do you think you are?
I'm right between C and S.
Right between C and S.
Yeah.
Yes, I am as well.
Yeah.
Yes, that is me as well. Let's see what our audience members are. Let's go to poll 2. All right, so now that you have heard what the DISC stands for, which style do you think you are? Oh, we've got a D. Okay, I'm giving you the facts. We've got some Ds. It looks like almost all Ds. Wow, I better get going. I better quickly get through this poll to help you. Oh, there we go. And now we're split. We've got the no S's on. I'm surprised we have an I. I thought usually we don't have many I's on the webinar because, like I said, they're more of the people person and want to be kind of out there. So, and for my C people out there, please feel free to let me know if you noticed any typos. I go through because I'm sort of C. I'm an S and C, but you never know. All right, so that's just kind of a fun way to give you a preview of the DISC. And if you're interested in more, you get the full assessment through the Management Development Program. All right, and then the final class of the Management Development Program is with Diane Davidson. You probably recognize her picture from the supervisory skills. She teaches them both. And this is her full day version as the manager of team leader. So she has the half day developing your team in supervisory skills, and this is the full day. So she uses the same assessment, but it's really a deeper dive into differences, leveraging strengths, creating team alignment. And then she gets into a whole thing about a model for projects and making sure you're successful in how you're aligning people and work and tasks so that you're efficient and effective given each other's styles. So I am going to put up the slide of the logistics, and I see we have some questions, so I'm going to answer a question. There is a question about parking at the facility. That's a great question. So is there a charge for parking? No, the parking is included in it's validated. We have a parking facility in the building at 2901 K Street. There's a parking, so it's right there. You don't have to park on the street in Midtown or anything like that. You park in the parking garage, and we validate your parking for the classes. So the Management Development Program, because it's this one a full day, we do include lunch. So it includes morning refreshments. Our supervisory skills include refreshments, morning refreshments, or if it's in the afternoon. And then because it's half day, we obviously don't include lunch. This one includes lunch because you're there together, and we really want to give you the opportunity to network with others from other organizations. So that's really important. You can see the cost for the program for the management development is $19.50. There's a 10% discount for groups of 3 or more, or by enrolling by April 24th. This one is also eligible for the $100 off, but again, the 10% discount is really your best bet as it's $195 in this case. So any other questions on management development? I see another question coming in. The location in both programs at the same location. Yes, so another question about location. So the location is 2901 K Street in the Galleria. Once you register for the courses, we give you all of this information, but it's in Midtown Sacramento. All of our courses are held there. And so the one caveat I will say is we are moving. You may see that on our website or hear about that. We are moving to One Capitol Mall. And so the management development program in particular may be held there or may be split, but we will provide plenty of details on that. So programs are held at the same location. Parking is included. It's a great teaching facility, centrally located. So those are our questions for now. I'm going to briefly talk about our summer course on specialized skills leading through emotional intelligence and coaching with Dawn Carner. You may recognize that photo. Dawn teaches in the supervisory skills, the half-day coaching. This is a 3-day deep dive course, what we call our specialized skill in emotional intelligence and coaching. So it includes an emotional intelligence assessment that you take in the beginning, and then the first half of the course is focused on that, and then the second half of the course is, okay, now that you understand emotional intelligence, how do you use that as the foundation for when you're coaching employees and your team? It's an incredible class. I've taken it myself. I loved it. And Dawn is just phenomenal. And it's she goes through a model called 6 Seconds for Emotional Intelligence. So that is coming. It's still a ways out in the summer. It is available for registration now, however, on the website. So you can go for more details on our website. When you go to the website, it's under leadership programs or areas of study leadership, specialized skills. We will have an information session solely dedicated to this course in July. So you'll be watching for that if you're interested in that. So I'm going to do one final poll for us. Now that you've learned about the leadership programs, which do you think would be a best fit for you? Supervisory skills series, one of the individual supervisory skills classes, management development program, or you're just not sure? And it looks like we're pretty much split between supervisory skills series and management development program. So that's great. I'm happy to see that it doesn't look like anybody has responded unsure, which is good, because I always say, though, if you are unsure or if you have additional questions, we're more than happy to answer those. And at the end, I will make sure that Bridget and my contact information is up so you can write it down. But right now, before I give you information on the $100 discount, any questions? Feel free to use the Q&A box. Any questions for me or for Heather? And then here is the information that has Bridget's contact information. She's probably your first go-to, that she knows all the ins and outs and details and can answer your questions. So please feel free to reach out to Bridget with any questions. And of course, I'm happy to answer your questions as well. I just find I tend to forward them to Bridget. So please, though, feel free to reach out to me also. And then regarding the $100 discount, Bridget will be sending out an email with the code after this, and we will also be sending a link to the recording. So feel free to share this recording with your colleagues, anyone else that you think might be interested in attending. So thank you, Heather, for being here.
Thank you for having me.
It was so great to have you, and we're so glad that you're still using skills from the programs. So that warms my heart. And with that, please feel free to go ahead and sign off unless you have any questions. You can use the Q&A box. I will hang on for another few seconds.